Brianna, do you have a date set yet? Yes.
For our wedding?
Yeah,
Yes.
do you know what's the date?
So it's April 23rd of
Fantastic.
2022. We have saved the dates. They're already here. I just have to get them sent out, but I'm back in
Right.
school. I was gone all last week. I was in Maryland with visiting
Mm.
my sister. So since they've come in, I've had no time because they came in about 2 weeks ago, but I had like 4 or 5 exams,
Mm.
something like that, after they came in. So
Yeah.
I had no time. And then I left. And then Jeremy still hasn't gotten all of his addresses
Ah,
yet. So
anytime you want ours, we'll send it to you right away.
yeah, I was trying to leave him to get his family because I have my entire family's addresses and our friends'
Yeah.
addresses. And I was like, all you gotta do is your
I think we
family.
were the same way. I was
And he
dragging my
needed,
feet, and
yeah.
she had already had it all done for a while. Maybe that's just the way it
Yeah,
goes.
I had it done like a month ago. Like I asked everybody like a month ago, and I asked my sister so far in advance for her address that she like texted me and she was like, "Where am I saved the dates at?" And I was like, "They haven't even been ordered."
That's fantastic. I'm excited because you're the first one that's going to have a wedding that'll be in addition to the family, I think. Because I think
Yeah.
Justin and Brittany just went to the courthouse and then they got it all taken care of on their own.
Yep.
So your guys' is the
Uh,
first wedding, besides
oh, I
mine, I
guess.
guess, but mine was mine.
Yeah, I guess.
Oh,
Lainey's
okay.
getting married. She's getting married about 1 month before us.
Before you, okay.
Yeah, her wedding's at like the middle end of March. I can't remember the exact day, but hers is in March and
And
ours is in
Lainey is
April.
Jeremy's cousin, but not mine. Okay.
Yes, yes. That's why I was like, technically, she is getting married, but I didn't know if you would
Oh yeah,
remember
it's
or
a
know
month
who
later.
she
That's kind
was.
of far apart, far enough apart, I'd say. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I wanted to do it in March because if you look at wedding venues, they're cheaper from like a certain time, but it ends in March.
Yeah.
And then she was kind of like, she didn't like that. And then when we started looking at venues, we had to go to April, and they were like 5 to 10 grand
Wow.
more for the month of April because that is prime
Oh, I
wedding
see.
season.
Hmm.
So now
Is
we're not doing a venue at all. We said
okay.
scratch the venue, and we're doing it at my mom's best friend's
Fantastic.
property.
That's the better way to go. When we were looking at wedding spots, it
Yeah,
was it was wild and way too much, way more than we could afford. But then we ended up getting a place that was only
well,
350, just dollars flat.
yeah, yeah. We were talking to somebody in your family about that. I can't remember who, but it was not too long ago, and I was like impressed with how
Yeah,
like
exactly. It was nice.
good
Yeah,
for
with the
you.
especially with the place to eat next door. So it was like right up the hill. So you go down into the little grove and get married, and then go up and eat. I think that's the best way to do it.
Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and do, but like I still want it to look really nice. I'm like I wanted to do a venue. I just once you hit April because of when she was getting married and like when we
Hmm.
wanted to, it wasn't working out anymore. And then we pushed up the wedding because we were originally going to do a fall wedding of 2022, but we pushed up the wedding because we're moving to Colorado in
Ooh,
June
that's
next
gonna be
year.
nice. That's gonna be nice.
Yeah, I'm really
Colorado.
excited.
uh, in a place that snows, I assume. So
Yeah, I think it doesn't all of
yeah,
Colorado
yeah,
snow.
exactly, exactly. That's gonna be nice. You're gonna have a lot of beautiful mornings.
That's it's gonna be like it's gonna be an adjustment. I have neither one of us has ever lived in snow, and it's gonna be a time. It's gonna be
Yeah,
a wild
exactly.
ride, but I'm hoping I enjoy it. I'm hoping it's
Mm,
for the best. I'm hoping it's what everything that we
mm.
want it to be, and that I'm not like moving away for like a year to be like, fuck that, I'm coming home.
Well, I guess you might miss the California weather, but then you'll also get the snow weather, which is something I really am jealous of.
Jeremy loves the snow and the cold, and so he's really excited. He wanted to go to Idaho with Brittany and Justin and
Hmm.
his mom. He wanted to go to Idaho, but I don't want to live in Idaho. Like I don't
You're not
want
feeling
that.
it.
And I was like, I'm cool.
Is
No,
Colorado the
no.
Rockies? Oh yeah, so
Yes,
you can do a lot of good hiking there, I assume.
it's the Rockies. It has the Alps,
Like
I
snowy Alps.
think.
No,
No,
the Alps is in Sweden, I think.
yeah, no, it's another. God, it starts with an A though,
The
but it's where
Andes.
all of like the major.
No, I don't know.
No,
I
I
don't
don't
know
think
anything
that's it
about mountain
either.
ranges.
But It's where like all of the major snow sports happen. Like it's known for the snow
Appalachia.
sports. It's big competition.
Okay.
I don't think that's it either.
I threw it out there.
I don't know what it's called either, but like Jeremy's really excited for that. So if we like it out there, that's definitely something that we're gonna do. Is like, yeah, because it's like it's known for their like kind of like X Games, like these big Olympic events that happen out in No, I'm gonna learn.
I've been snowboarding once, and I've been skiing once, and snowboarding was harder, but and it was also like very, very intimidating, so a little scarier. But I feel like it's rewarding once you get something right. Once you go down the hills going sideways like a skateboard, and you're like, wow, this is actually sick. And I was not on doing that much, but it was fun.
I have horrible balance. I have horrible balance, so I don't think snowboarding is gonna be for me because I've tried. Me and Jeremy, probably over a year ago now, he set me up on a snowboard. I went down a little slope, like this, barely a slope, and I was so frustrated and so mad and just so like always falling. I couldn't hold my balance, and I didn't like that my feet, like I couldn't move a foot. Like it
throws you off.
Bothered
You're used to having 3 feet.
Yeah, and so I think we're gonna try skiing for me and see if I can get into that one, because I tried snowboarding a little bit, not even remotely enough to see if that's actually something I could.
I guess it has pros and cons, because one can do one and one can do the other. So like when you train someone later on, you'll have both best of both worlds, and they get to decide who, do I want to learn snowboarding or do I want to learn skiing, and I have a teacher for both. But the downside is now you're not going to have a teacher with you at all times, because Jeremy, it sounds like, no snowboarding.
Right.
And they're not exactly similar enough to really help that much.
No, I think I would just take a couple lessons and then be like, okay, we'll learn by doing. Because that's how I learn best. I learn by doing it and messing up and then getting up and be like, next time I won't do that.
On some level.
Yeah, I don't know. There are some people who don't learn like that, but they can just watch it and repeat. I can't just watch you and repeat.
Those people are wildly more talented than I am. I need to do it a few times.
Yeah, so that I'm really excited for. We decided to move just a couple months ago.
Do you have a place set up, or are you just deciding when you want to go?
So we're looking at Loveland, Colorado, which is about 50 minutes north of Denver. Yeah, because I don't want to live in Denver. It's a massive city, and I don't want to live in, because it's basically like a San Francisco. Like it's packed, tons of people, just it's so packed, and like I don't want to live in a place like that again. Yeah, I know. So that's why we're looking a little bit north, so that way we're still close, but to Denver where everything's happening, but we don't have to deal with like all of the traffic every day.
Did COVID hit you hard, or was it kind of like?
So hard. It was horrible. It has been horrible.
And you got it, or was it just the effects?
No, I didn't get it. It's just everything that it affected my life.
Yeah. Were you working at the time when it first hit?
Yeah, and then I lost my job for a couple of months, and I was on unemployment. I worked for Caltrans, but I did get the job back. Cool. So I work for Caltrans again. So I currently work right now.
One, oh man, that's a big one. That's transportation, right? Yeah, so that's one you don't want to see get shut down, and you wouldn't think would.
Yeah, it's not like that it got shut down. It was budget cuts.
Okay. Well, at least they gave it
and then I'm a student too, so I have even less rights than everybody else that I work there with, because I'm just a student. So when COVID happened, they temporarily, that's what they said, temporarily we were laid off. But they laid off all of the students, but they're also for the state. So when everybody started handing out unemployment and the state was losing so much money from unemployment, they hired all the students back because it was cheaper to hire us back on than to keep us on unemployment.
That's wild,
yeah, so I got my job back 2 months later, and I made half the money I did off unemployment. Yeah, it was hard. It was rough. And then like one of my coworkers, he doesn't work there anymore because he didn't come back after he got laid off. he was like, I don't know if I can lose that kind of money off unemployment. And I was like, well, that's temporary. Our job is a little bit more permanent. And that was the only reason why I went back, because of the job experience for outside of school. If I didn't, if this wasn't in my field, oh, I would have never have gone back. Unemployment was so nice to get.
What's unemployment right
It's
now?
so
Is it
much
like
money.
400 a month or something like that?
So I'm pretty sure it's like 400 a
week.
week.
Okay. Yeah, that's
Yeah, because the original one was 600 a week.
That's quite a bit of money.
That was more than me working full time.
Really? Wow. Was that with the COVID relief as well at the time? Okay.
Yeah, that was the first COVID
Okay.
relief
Well, at least
package to
we
go
had
out.
that, and then since then, not much. Although we did get the
Yeah,
$1,400
yeah,
ones recently, so that was nice.
yeah, and then there was like that stupid $600
Yeah, the
one.
600. I don't even remember. That was a long time ago though. That was more of an emergency one. Um,
That was in
mm.
December.
It's wild comparing United States to like the other countries, and everyone was getting like weekly $600 or something like that, or every other week $600, and us it was like, yeah, we got that once. All those people that are struggling, they're like,
Yeah,
yeah, you guys don't need anything right now, right? Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It was like, I mean, the stimulus checks, like, they helped because every time they've come in, I've actually
Yeah.
needed them.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I don't know how I'm going to pay my rent
Exactly.
or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's been nice for them to come in at
Mhm.
the time that they have, because I really needed them in those
Mm.
times. But it sucks that they were so
Yeah.
little in
And
between.
you'd think
Like,
that that would be
that
something that like
$600
the
one.
politicians would fight for, like hard, because of all the people that are in dire need of some money at the time.
Well, I read this article about this, I don't know, someone in the House or Senate or
Mm.
something like that. I can't remember his name, but he was talking about how he just thought we were getting so much money. But the dude's like 80 years old. And so they went and compared what, like, the money, like $600 or whatever,
Uh-huh.
is now compared to back then. And like $600 for us now was like 5 grand. And then when you get to that bigger number, like when they were talking for like 2000, it was like $15,000
Wow.
back then.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I started reading, like, I was reading that article, and I was like, well, no wonder why that seems like a lot of money to you, because way back when
Yeah.
you were young, that
Yes,
probably
I
was
actually
a
have heard
ton of
that before.
money.
Yeah. Something like that story you just told. Yeah, I don't get why you would make that specific point. It's kind of silly if you think about it for like 2 seconds at all. Just with inflation alone, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
Hmm.
exactly. And then they're all rich, so I'm
Yeah.
like, you're probably not even looking at your
Yeah.
bank account like
It's
everybody
crazy
else
because I think
is.
that nobody was really happy with politicians like throughout time, but because of COVID, everyone realized, oh yeah, they are all monsters. They're just doing a job every day and they don't actually care about us for the most part. They do kind of on like a basic
Yes.
level because everybody, one cares about everyone, but at the same time, they're so interested in their own whatever they're going for that they forget about the everyday person.
Even the politicians that are like, yes, you need the stimulus, they're only doing that because there's the other half that doesn't want it, and they're trying to look better in like the public eye, but
Yeah,
they're still
yeah,
trash. If you look at everything they've done, you're like, no, you're still a
yeah.
horrible person. You want to
Mm.
look decent in this one
And I'm
moment of
sure that
time.
it's because we're on the outside looking into politicians. It seems like they're all idiots, and I'm sure that there are some good ones, but clearly with the way it generally works, it's kind of hard for us to see anything besides you guys are being awful. You guys are just self-interested and not really caring about
Yeah,
us.
I think there's so few that are
Hmm.
good, it's hard to see them past all of the horrible people that have been there for just way too
I feel
long.
like, and I don't know if it's, I maybe there'll be like a politician that really just pulls all the whole country together at some point in the future. But I'm kind of I'm kind of not thinking that's going to happen. I feel like we're kind of stuck in this kind of cycle where it's going to be a whole lot of hating politicians and not a whole lot of celebrating them. You know, it's because the
Oh,
right and
for
the left are
sure.
just
I
at
think,
war at all times.
yes, and I think it's been
Hmm.
worse now than like I remember, but
That's
like,
what
I'm
people
also not
say.
very old, so it could have
Hmm.
been bad,
Yeah.
the whole time, and I'm just now an
Right.
adult realizing
Uh,
it, but it,
Podcasters that
yeah,
I've listened to definitely say how Joe Rogan comes to mind. He was talking about how he's 50 something years old, and he's seen a lot of stuff in politics, and it's never been this bad. It's never been like this. It's never been such like seething
Yeah.
hatred for the government, or seething hatred for each other, even worse. And I'm sure that
Yeah,
that's
I
not
feel
most
like
people, just the most vocal ones. But at the same time, it kind of seems like that's right. I don't know what's going on, what sickness is going on through people's heads, but everyone has this searing hate for each other.
yeah, it's been really bad. And like, I don't know, I feel like Trump started
Mm-hmm.
it with the aggression that he showed
Mm-hmm.
everybody, but no one has done anything to help beside it,
Give me 1 second. Hold on.
and it's not going to get any better.
Okay, I'm back. I'm sorry.
No, you're...
My microphone was messed up. You were saying you were talking about Trump.
Yeah, I think he like started it by being so aggressive back in like, you know, the 2016 election. But and I think it just continually got worse. And even though there's new president and new politicians coming in, everybody's still very angry with everything that I think he brought up. Because I didn't really see that kind of anger toward other people until Trump. And then once he was in, it started growing and growing and growing. And even though like Biden's in now and he has a new this, new that, it's not going anywhere. It's already there.
I feel like that's super valid. I feel like it became a public thing to talk about when Trump when Trump won his election thing.
Yeah.
And I think that made a lot of people start talking about it openly.
Yeah.
Whereas before it was more just the people who cared would even watch, or more the people that cared about following that kind of stuff would watch politics. And then Donald Trump, what was he on? A Celebrity Apprentice or something like that? A reality show host won the what was it, the Republican ticket or whatever, and then all of a sudden it started getting more interesting. And then Hillary Clinton would have been the first female president, and she lost, which was incredible. It was like reality TV every day.
Well, it was so...
And like you didn't even have to watch; you just heard the stories, and you're like, yeah, that seems right.
It was bad because I didn't vote in 2016. 2016 was
I didn't either.
The first year I was 18 and legal to vote, and I knew absolutely nothing about what was happening with the elections, what was going on. Like I didn't care. It was whatever.
I wanted to care.
And then it all happened and everything started going down. And then it was like the first 2 years of him being in office, I'd never really heard anything. I just was like, whatever. And it was like these last two up until 2020 election where I was like, oh, this shit's serious.
Yeah. And I remember when it was about time for the election, and I was telling Piper, I was like, because I was looking at the news, and it actually seemed like there was a chance that he could win, and I was like, wouldn't it be freaking wild, babe? Wouldn't it be freaking wild if he won? And she was just like, nah, it's not going to happen. And then the day of, I just texted her like a link to the YouTube video that was announcing it, and I was just like, what the hell? What's going on?
Yeah, I remember.
Who would have thought?
I remember him winning, and I was like, no fucking way.
What? And it was unreal, but it was like way too real at the same time, you know? It was like I couldn't imagine it happening, and then it happened, and then we were just there in that like middle place, where no one knew what to do.
Yeah, everybody was just like, well, he's president now. Like, now what?
Yeah.
What do we do now?
And the obvious thing I feel like happened, and that was everyone who was already thoroughly in their sides solidified in their side. So then it was just 4 years of everyone bickering and every little thing that he did, every little thing that happened. And most of the time, I feel like people overreacted a bit with Trump. It's not that he wasn't absolutely ridiculous, because he was, but I feel like people lean in a little bit hard on the it's Trump's fault thing, and then kind of ignore the own problem with like the Democratic Party as well. Because the Democratic Party dropped the ball at every corner.
Yeah.
They lost a lot of little battles.
Yeah,
in that
well,
war.
I have had some friends who have been extreme like Democrats, and they are no longer my friend because of Jeremy's political views.
Oh, really? Because he's conservative?
I don't know if he's fully conservative. I know we've had a couple talks.
Individual views.
Yeah, but he supported Trump in 2016, and he does.
Which is not anyone's fault. You know, you can't blame.
Yeah, but he didn't vote either. None of us voted.
Oh, okay. He just supported it.
Yeah,
right.
And then
he was leaning more to Trump.
Yeah, and then he posted some like more conservative stuff on like Facebook, and my friend
Mm-hmm.
found his Facebook, started sending me screenshots of everything and be like, oh, I didn't know he felt this way. And I was like, well, we were dating for a long 2 years by then. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, well, like, I understand that you don't like his political views. And I was like, I don't even agree with his political views half the time, but like, he's a good person. He has a good heart. He cares more
Right.
about people than
Yeah.
most people do. So
Yeah,
like,
even if he had voted for Trump, that doesn't change how good of a person he is.
yeah, and no, she like dropped me, and she was my best friend, and she
Yeah.
dropped me in an
Wow.
instant.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
You didn't need her.
Completely. Yeah.
You don't need a friend that drops you because the person you love doesn't have the right views.
Yeah, and she did, and then she like accidentally FaceTimed me. It was very awkward, and so
Very awkward.
it was so awkward. Yeah, that's basically how it went. And then I was like, okay, bye. And so I hung up, and then she texted me, and she was like,
Just leave it alone for a day.
Yes. She was like, I'm sorry, like we have different views. And I was like, we don't have different views. You and Jeremy have different views.
Yeah, you guys have a couple different views is basically what you're saying.
Yeah, and then
Yeah, goddamn.
she called Jeremy like a racist and calling me a racist by association and like
Oh man.
crazy shit. And
People
I was
are
like,
very on edge. Crazy stuff.
yeah, and I was like, Jeremy is probably one of the nicest people I've ever met,
Yeah.
and just cares about
Mhm.
people, and that's his thing. And you're gonna call him racist? You have no idea who
What-
he is. Like,
Did she
none.
give you like reasons beyond just saying he was racist? Did she say this specific thing is why he's racist?
Because he supported Trump, and if you did
Okay.
that, you were a racist. And then like,
And that was the main thing? Was he supported Trump?
yeah.
All right, that is the one thing that I didn't get at the time, and I still don't understand about people. Why you would take something that's so complicated about like who represents the Republican or Democrat Party and say that this person, if you support this person, there's only one reason for it, and then for Trump, it was always racism.
Yeah. Well, like,
And first and foremost, and it's like it is a lot more complicated than that. First off, and second off, a lot of the information that you have on him is at least you could agree inaccurate.
well,
You know what I
like,
mean?
It's like,
He's not a good person, but like at the same time, he's representing Republican ideals.
Yeah.
So a lot of things that Republicans
even
support.
when you look at the
or
current
what he
president, Joe Biden, he has
supports.
just as many allegations as Trump does.
Mm,
So
wild.
neither one of them is exactly
Yeah.
the most admirable person.
And neither one of them was feels very together at any moment.
Yeah, and so it's like, okay, no matter who you want to look at for the 2020 election, they both fucking suck. Trump sucks, Joe Biden
Yeah.
sucks. They both suck.
Mm.
Pick your worst of two evils. Go ahead. Pick one.
I still think he won just because people were tired of it, and they're like, I just don't want another 4 years of complaining about Trump. Please, for the love of God.
That is why I voted for Biden.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong. And
I didn't agree with anything.
the
Biden-
last thing that America should be is unable to express. People feel uncomfortable with expressing who they want to vote for. That should be the thing during election year that we talk about the most, and we forget about that as Americans because we just kind of go to work and we come home and we pay the bills. But at the same, we really should be really communicating with each other about who we're voting for and why we're voting for them. And we tend to not be because we're afraid of offending someone or something like
Well,
that.
people are so sensitive. Like me and
Yeah.
my friends, honestly, we talked about it a lot coming up to 2020
Okay,
election.
you
We
gotta
talked
talk.
about it
Mhm.
so much all the time, what we were going to do, constantly talking about it. But like, people they get so defensive and so angry when you talk about something that doesn't match up with their views, and nobody really
Mhm.
wants to listen and learn. They kind of get in their one view and they stick with that. And like me and my
Mhm.
friends, we talk a lot. We'll be like, oh, did you look at this or read this? And then we'll sit there and we discuss, but all of us are very open-minded. So like when you try to talk to someone who's not, it just doesn't go well. Like even there's people in my family that I've tried to talk to and we just end up yelling at each other. And I'm like, okay, you know what? That's
Mhm.
good. You do you, I do me. I'm done talking about this with you.
It's me and my father.
That like,
Mm.
I love my dad. But
Mhm.
he likes to just fucking argue with me sometimes. And I'm like, Dad, I'm not even disagreeing with you. I'm on your side and you're
What
still
is that
arguing with
about?
me.
Yeah, I remember one time because I don't play games that often anymore. But at the time, I went to their house to hang out, and there was a commercial about a video game, and they were talking about loot boxes in the video game.
Okay.
And I mentioned how I'm not really big on loot boxes because it's basically at its base, it's gambling, and at its worst, it's allowing kids to gamble. You're because you can't tell who's paying the money, so any kid could just learn that this is fun. It's fun to pay money and get a virtual item, and then pay more money and get a different virtual item. And adults fall into that trap a lot. and it's kind of a waste of money, and it's kind of ridiculous that kids have the ability to do the same thing.
Right.
And he started defending the loot boxes. And I was like, did you not listen to what I'm trying to say? And as I was trying to explain how it's not about whether or not they should be able to, it's that they themselves are gambling, and they're also allowing kids to gamble. That's two reasons that you at least shouldn't be happy about it.
Yeah.
But his argument was very hardcore. The businesses should be allowed to do what they want to do. And I get it, but at the same time, why are you yelling at me about loot boxes when this is the first time you've heard about them? You know what I mean? Like, I've been doing I watch a lot of videos on YouTubers and gamers, and I've watched a lot of videos on loot boxes, and I can tell you a lot about them. And I'm telling you, it's not a good thing. And he, for some reason, really wanted to argue, and it ended up being a yelling match, and then Piper and I had to leave at some point.
Yeah.
And wasn't very happy.
No. Yeah, I go to my dad, and we normally get along, and there's usually no problems. Like, my dad is like one of my best friends. I love him so much. But every once in a while, he'll just get in this mood where he just wants to argue with me. Like, I will just be sitting there, and like, he got in a car accident a week ago, or a couple weeks ago.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. It was just a little fender bender. It wasn't bad.
Oh, okay.
It was a little fender bender. But he was like complaining about the car insurance, right? And so I was like, yeah, Dad, like, I get it. And he was like, I'm gonna fight this. I'm gonna make sure that like they pay everything. And I was like, okay, you do it, you fight it. And then he went into this really long explanation on why he should fight this. He can do it, da-da-da. And I was like, Dad, I'm not even disagreeing with you, but you're yelling at me. Like, you're yelling at me. And then I tried to leave three times, and he wouldn't let me leave. He just kept arguing with me. And I was like, I'm not even disagreeing with you. I'm on your side. Like, no.
I think he was already in the mindset that he had to defend himself.
Yeah.
It must have been something like that.
Yeah, and he just started doing it, and he does that every once in a while. He'll just get in.
Yeah, maybe he just really has to get it out, and you were the closest thing. You were the closest microphone that he could speak into.
I guess. And then I like try to dip out and be like, okay, well, goodbye.
I believe you. Good luck. Goodbye.
That's all the time. I don't.
Yeah.
So on.
I don't know if it's a generation gap thing. I don't know if it's your dad religious at all?
Nah, probably not.
Interesting. So it's not a religion thing, because my dad is very religious. So it could be like a father thing. I don't know, that if both of us have that, and that's a similarity, maybe.
I don't know.
I don't know what it is. I was talking to a pastor of his church, actually, and one of the things that the pastor was talking about was that after a while, people just kind of drift away and lose the ability to communicate well. And I think that that's a very true thing for a lot of people's stories. It's just every time you actually get a chance to talk with that person, it doesn't end well, because you guys are just either it's both of you or it's one of you, but you guys have lost the ability to communicate well.
Yeah. Well, like,
and that's kind of what I'm trying to do with this sort of thing, is really expand my horizons and talk with people about these things.
Yeah, my family has a very odd way of doing things. Like, my family has probably some of the worst grudges you could think of. Like, my family, like, when you come to the wedding, you'll see how small my family is because of my mom's dad. He cut off everyone over something that no one can remember. Nobody knows what happened. But it was when my sisters were little. Like, me and my sisters were all 5 years apart. So I'm the youngest, so me to my eldest sister is 10 years.
Okay.
And like, when my eldest sister was like 5, that's when he cut everybody off. So I was not even born yet. And so, like, because of that, like, when we all talk, and like, I have to have relationships with everybody else in my family, so that way when people stop talking, I can still communicate. So like, all of my relationships are built outside of like family events and stuff, because not everyone is invited every time to everything. So it's really hard to like always see family because of the way we just, everybody likes to hold grudges and be mad about stuff or whatever.
Yeah. For silly reasons, most of the time. On occasion, it's like for a decent reason, but even that's like few and far between. you know?
Yeah, my family is very odd. And like I have my Uncle Billy, and he is more of a pampered kind of man. He likes to get manicures and like pedicures, where he just likes getting pampered. He likes massages, he always has his hair done. Like he is just a pampered kind of man, right?
Lovely.
And yeah, I'm fine with it. It doesn't bother me. Live your life, do you. Well, like he like he'll come over, and like my dad is not that at all. My dad's not a pampered man. He doesn't no. So like when he comes over, everybody just starts arguing, and it's about like really dumb stuff. And then my mom will complain to me about him, but I see him outside of them regularly. Like I've built a relationship, and so my mom will complain to me, and then I get a little butthurt because I'm like, well,
I know him, and I know you're being ridiculous, you know? Yeah.
Families.
Yeah, I guess I lucked out because I'm not in on most of the drama that happens in my family, so thank God for that. But yeah, I see exactly what you're saying in my own relationship with my parents. Even, you know, there's just communication issues that lead to. At this point, I'm not speaking with them, and I basically told them I'm done with it. If you want to have a relationship with me, we can. I'm happy to schedule a family therapy, or I'm happy to be a part of you scheduling family therapy, because at this point, there's something wrong here, and I don't think I'm doing a good job at fixing it.
Oh,
so
I'm sorry, man.
Until that happens, I'm not. Yeah, it's okay. It's until that happens, I'm not.
You
gonna
know, my my brother-in-law is in the same boat as you. Exact same boat.
Really?
Yeah, the exact same one.
Does it center around like just talking about some of the core issues and stuff like that? Like mine would be trying to talk with them about religion and just say what I believe now to them and see what they think.
So I don't think
That's what
is
mine.
quite on like the religious line, but it's it's also my brother-in-law's father. It's also that relationship.
Okay.
But they have kids. Like my sister and her husband, they have 3 kids, and so they would constantly be like, you're withholding the kids from us, you don't want them to see us. And then they would just start pinning all of these things. And he didn't go to, like, he's not, like, their father isn't gonna go to like their brother's wedding. Like he's just done.
Wow.
Like Will's tried reaching out and calling them, and he's not calling them back. He calls them like horrible things, like crazy shit. But it's not over like religion, but I do think it has something to do with like
there's something wrong at the core.
Yeah, there's something wrong.
There's a disagreement there.
Yeah, but I don't know what that is. I don't even think my brother-in-law knows what it is, but he's not willing to talk.
But it is a communication issue.
Yes.
Yeah. That, I feel like everything revolves around, is there a problem with the way you guys communicate? And I think that, I mean, somebody could tell me that they don't agree, but I feel like at this moment, that's where I'm laying. Most issues between people is just poor communication.
Or I feel like that and closed-mindedness, not willing to listen.
Yeah, which factors into poor communication, but definitely it's his own huge thing.
Yeah, because
and it's funny because that's actually a natural human thing. You believe something, and then you don't want to hear someone who's being quote unquote ridiculous because they disagree with that thing.
Yeah. So yeah, it's so sad. It's sad that those things happen and people can't talk about it. Luckily, like, I'm really close and my family's really open, because my other sister, she's our black sheep in the family, and she is just all kinds of out there with her thoughts and everything, and her and my dad argue,
which is refreshing.
Yeah, but me and her agree on a lot of stuff. Like, yeah,
it's wild when someone's really willing to say stuff, and then you're like, oh shit, I agree with most of that.
Yeah, like I think she kind of took those first steps to be like, oh, I think like this, and then I kind of, because I'm younger, I kind of followed in behind, being
and like you come to your own decisions eventually by thinking about it, but it is nice to hear someone say something that makes sense, you know? Like, oh, I get why you believe that.
Yeah.
And honestly, I agree with you.
Yeah. So that's how like me and my older sister are now. And then but we both are kind of on a whole different page from our family. We just don't really, like, we've talked about like it with our family, and like my parents never have really said anything to like disagree or agree or anything. They just kind of been like, well, that's cool that you enjoy that. They're just kind of on that level of whatever makes you happy kind of people.
Yep. There's a balance, man. There's a big balance. And sometimes it really does come down to you do you. I'm fine with it. I really, in honest, that's okay. That's not closed-mindedness. That's just kind of stepping back and going, this conversation this time, I don't feel like I need to contribute.
Yeah, Yeah, and I think it's
You know,
okay
and there's nothing wrong
to
with
not
that.
agree on things. I think it's okay to like not always agree, or to have your own opinion and be like, I
Yeah.
believe this, you believe that, and that is okay
Yeah.
with me. I've done my research, you've done yours, and I'm cool that we can both be okay with where we are.
I think that kind of thing is like for me, it's like the frustratingness of someone that believes in ghosts. It's like, I really genuinely want you to just believe whatever you want to believe. I can tell you there's no ghosts, but I also can't tell you not to believe in ghosts. And you have your own reasons. So it's like, oh, okay, I guess this is one of those situations where sometimes, no matter how much you talk about it, they thought they saw a ghost, or they did see a ghost, and that's kind of the way it is.
Yeah, but I mean, even like with stuff like that, it's like my whole thing is like, we honestly probably have zero idea of anything that's really going on. So I don't
if
like
it's
to,
real, yeah.
I don't like to be like, oh, that's not true, that is true, with a lot of things, because honestly, I have zero clue if any of that is real or if any of it is not.
Right.
I couldn't tell you. It like literally, it's just like a faith. That's why they call it their faith. You know, like there's zero proof that any of this is really what's going on.
I've been thinking a lot about faith. Let me ask you this question, and it's one that I've been thinking about recently.
Okay.
Is faith something you can use as a tool to achieve truth, or to attain truth? Can you use faith to attain truth?
Okay. Here we go. So I don't think it's a truth that you could use universally. I think it can be your truth.
Okay.
And I think that's a big difference.
I agree. I think the problem with that, though, is that is only for that individual.
Yeah.
If when you want to talk with someone about the truth, then actually suddenly it becomes more important than that person or just you, or the combination of the two of you. Now you're talking about a whole society of people, a whole world of people. So that's really what I mean when I say the truth, rather than individual truth. So could faith help someone achieve a more objective truth?
Probably not, because if you are looking at getting a whole load of people on board, you're gonna need proof.
Yeah,
and just based
evidence.
on faith, you don't have that. You have zero proof. And so, no,
I feel like faith isn't even really part of the conversation when you're actually trying to discover truth. And I think that it could be a tool to help you get the tools to achieve truth.
I agree.
Like picking up a Bible can help you realize that you need to chase truth. You need to actively pursue truth.
I think for me,
that doesn't mean that you need to use the Bible. In my opinion, it doesn't mean you need to use the Bible to attain truth.
I agree.
Or to get closer to truth.
I agree, and I think for right now, everybody's truth is different.
And that's rough. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons people retreat into their groups, because that's the simplest thing that you can lean on, you know?
Yeah, and
identitarian stuff. Yeah. Like some people like grew up in those groups, so it's like it actually is a part of them. And then there's me that's like, technically I'm Hispanic, but I don't really have any connection to the Hispanic side of my family, so it's like, oh, or the Filipino side for that matter.
You know what Jeremy told me when we first met? He was white.
What?
He was white.
He is very white.
I said, boy, look at your skin color. You are more
boy,
than
you
just
can get
white.
Tan.
You are more than just, I know white. I'm white.
Yeah, exactly.
You need to look at
you're
your
talking
skin.
to a white girl. Literally, there's a big box that we put a lot of people in, and it's called White Girl.
I was like, you did not just tell me you are white.
Yeah. My wife is a white girl, too.
Yes,
so.
I heard. But, like, he told me, because
That's what I said when I was young, too.
Yeah, he was like, I'm white.
Or...
That's how he identified himself. And then I looked at him and I was like, no way, you are just white, because I'm just white. Like, I'm white.
I remember in middle school when I was asked for the first time, what are you? And I said I was white. And I honestly had never really thought about it. I was just like, let me think.
I'm white.
I guess there's nothing really ethnic about my life, so I guess that's just the way it is. I'm white.
That's kind of how he viewed himself too. And
it wasn't until afterward you actually start thinking about it, and you're like, oh, my grandfather's very dark skinned, actually. He's in the sun all the time, and he's half Filipino.
Yeah.
So that puts me at an eighth, but still I got some tanness from him. And then my mom is half Puerto Rican, so that puts a lot of skin tone in her. And I'm not in the sun a lot, but I can definitely tan, so it must be that I'm not white.
You don't even have your basic white. You have some, Hispanic or whatever features.
Yeah, whatever it is.
Yeah, like you have.
I got white skin as far as this camera's concerned.
I must be glowing over here of whiteness.
No, because it's backlit, so you got a nice coloring.
Good
Yeah.
shading.
A nice even tone.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought I was white, just like him.
Yeah, but he that was when we met. He was 20 when we met, and I was 19, and he told me
Young boy.
he was white, and I was like, no, you're not. I can see that you're not. I was like, you definitely have white in you. I can tell that you are white.
Oh, yeah.
But fully, no. You have something.
He's got those eyebrows are not white, for sure. Those eyebrows are white people wish they had those eyebrows.
His eyebrows.
Every white person's like, God, I wish I had those eyebrows.
No.
He's a beautiful guy. Good for him.
Yes.
My cousin Jeremy.
Yes, but like I was so shook when he told me that, because like when we met I thought he was like Mexican or something like that.
Yeah.
With that.
Yeah. It works.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought. And he was like, actually, Filipino, but I think he took time to tell me he had Filipino in him, and I was like, that's what it is.
Wait, so his parents? Okay, so I already know Uncle Brandon's. Christine, is that her name? Christy. Okay, Christy. She's a white girl,
yeah.
I think. Yeah, so she's just like in the same boat as you are. Yeah. So that puts him, the only ethnicity that he actually has is from Papa, which is an eighth. Yeah. So, okay, well, interesting. So technically, considering he's whatever the math is, minus an eighth, is white.
He's mostly white, but...
Right. Oh, he's 7/8. I don't know why I can't do
that. Do that, because then when you meet his family and you meet his dad and all of your cousins...
And then you see Uncle James, who is literally the darkest... quarter Filipino I've ever seen.
Yeah, like when you look at everybody, it doesn't make sense for him to be like, oh, I'm white. Like, because when you meet his family, if you meet his mom's side, you can see it. Everybody's white. But then when you meet his dad's side, the other half of him, that makes no sense to be like, I'm white.
It feels like in a lot of ways, now you are connected to this family, where it's like our family has been kind of a mixture of a lot of... No one has an ethnic background. No one has like, we are this. Even Papa was like not very big on passing on any sort of Filipino heritage, because he was half German. And I feel like in America at his age, and I did get a talk with him a little bit about it, I think that he experienced an amount of racism that we don't understand. So he actually ran from his heritage, whereas nowadays we tend to really desperately embrace it if we can. So that's a really interesting change that happened in society, where we actually are standing up for the minorities, so they don't feel like that.
Yeah, it is. Like I don't have anything like that in my family. We're all very white. Like I did the 23andMe, and I am just a bunch of fucking white. I'm so much just white. So but my sister, she is Costa Rican.
Cool.
She's Costa Rican.
I assume you have different... We
all have different dads.
Okay. Oh, really? Okay. So would you mind explaining a little bit? I don't remember.
Yeah. So I have two older sisters, and then my parents are married. So my mom, we all share a mom. We all have different dads, and my parents are married though. And then my older sister, who's Costa Rican, she doesn't talk to her dad anymore, hasn't since she was like 20, I think like 20, but
it happens.
And then my eldest sister, she's actually part Cherokee Indian.
Wow.
Yeah, so everybody got something but me. I'm the only one that has zero ethnicity.
Well, you married in. Although, can you really say anything when your kids are 1/16 Filipino? At that point, does it even count anymore?
It does.
Are you gonna say, you kids, now we have to have a talk? They might look at you different, but you're 1/16 Filipino. No, I feel like at that point you could probably just say, if they ask, you'll say you're a 16th Filipino and white.
I feel like I think because I think about this a lot because I want kids one day.
Because it's a thing that's gonna happen.
I feel like, hi, it's Jacob.
Hi.
Hey. The camera's on, just letting you know.
Okay, I'll not be in there. I got the shirt on.
Okay.
Good to see you. We were talking about how pretty you were.
Yeah.
And your eyebrows are awesome. We all do, though.
Yeah. But I think about it, and like he's really white. So like our kids could look nothing like him and just be freaking white.
But they'll get the eyebrows.
Really hope not. I hope none of them get those eyebrows.
It'll be right in the middle though.
Probably. But like I think about it because I'm like, we could have like kids that just look exactly like me and they'll all just be like little redheads. If that's even...
I feel like that's what you imagine whenever anyone has kids. You're like, okay, all the girls are going to look exactly like her and all the boys are going to look exactly like him. And then it's like a toss-up.
Yeah, it is, for sure. I'm hoping that they turn out with really good mixes of the two of us to where they get a lot of like each one of our features to where they look like really good mixes. Because I feel like both of us...
Jeremy's height.
Yeah, don't get my height. That's just sad.
Yeah, Jeremy's... That's going to be awesome. Believe me, it feels like a superpower after a while. Like, there's... You never escape the, can you reach that for me, please?
Never.
It's going to be with you for your whole life.
Never. And so...
You're like, maybe if I get moon shoes, then I can help you out.
Oh my gosh.
In your case.
But like in our house, because I am so short and he is so tall, our stuff is literally separated by height. So like all like in our cabinets, like
that's easy.
He has cups that he uses that he likes. I have cups that I use that I like. All of his cups are on the very top. And then all of
these are mine.
Are in the bottom where I can reach them.
Okay, here's a question I have that's just random and very specific.
Okay.
Looking at the two sections of cups.
Yeah.
Is there a theme on his and a theme on yours, or are they kind of just both of them? You guys have random styles.
So mine, his is way more organized of a look, and like he like.
Well done.
He likes mason jars. And like if you look, there are a bunch of mason jars, and like that's his thing, and he likes those. And then he has a couple thermals.
Southern stuff.
But mine's all match. When you be looking, it's like this looks like this, but I got this from this place, and like I want everything to look different. And then
it's more of a collage where his is more of a like, this is what I like.
Yeah, mine like I buy stuff in places. I'll be like, oh, this is cute, and then every day when I pick out stuff, I'll be like, oh, this one's cute. I'll take that one today.
Yeah, whatever you're feeling.
Yeah, I pick by my mood and what I want my day to be like.
Oh man, you guys are gonna have fun kids. I guarantee it.
They're gonna be.
I think you guys will have great kids.
I hope they turn out okay looking.
Do you happen to have? I know it's like way in the future, but do you happen to have like a basic plan for when you would want to have kids?
I want to be closer to 30. That's kind of where I'm leaning. I don't have.
That's generally the answer.
Well, because like I want to enjoy my 20s. I want to travel and go and do things and see some sights and just be able to have fun. And I want to do that like when we're married and we can enjoy being married and then have them later when we have
and any movie at any time that you can walk to, you can go at any time you want right now.
Yeah.
And when you have kids, then you actually have to go, no, I actually have to plan a week in advance. What?
Yeah. And I also want to be more financially stable too, because I want to give them things that I didn't have and that Jeremy didn't have, and like be able to go on family trips, because like he didn't really go on any family trips. I hardly went on family trips, not until I got way older that we started doing anything like that.
Same.
Yeah.
Same for me too.
So like
we did stuff, but like not very often.
No.
Like I think we went to Disney when I was 8, but then we didn't do anything like major like that for another like 5 years after that.
I think
or 4 years.
I went to Disneyland twice. One of them I was really little, and it's
just that was more for your parents and enjoying you.
I don't even know why we went, because my eldest
How old were you?
I was probably about 7 or 8.
Okay, you were at the good age.
Yeah, but my eldest sister was pregnant.
Oh, really? How old is she?
So at the time she was 17.
Oh, okay. That's a story for another time. Yeah. I won't push on that one yet.
She was really young, but she was pregnant, and then my dad's mom went with us, and just a general thing. No one in my family likes my dad's mom. Just no one. It's known.
It happens.
It is what it is.
You still need the support for Disney, though.
Yeah. So she went, and everyone argued. It was a horrible time. No one had fun. Chantel was pregnant. She was miserable. Made everybody else miserable. Me and my sister were sleeping in this pull-out couch. We were miserable because everybody. I don't know why we went. Like to this day, cannot comprehend why we thought that was a good idea to go.
You know why? And I can explain it to you. And I don't know this for sure. Obviously, it's your family, but I think it's because there's this like. There's thing that's a pressure on parents that you're supposed to do the parent stuff, and take your kids to Disney is a thing that happens. And once you solidify, I'm taking my kids to Disney, you can't pull that away from them. Yeah. That's worse than not going at all.
Yeah, it is.
So I think that they probably solidified we have to go, and this is how it has to happen. And whether or not it's going to be a good mixing between us two, the kids have to go to Disney.
Yeah, I think like.
Yeah, so that's just what I'm guessing.
I think when like, because there was parts where we had a lot of fun, but that's when people kind of like separated, you know.
Yeah.
And then I went to
Makes sense.
Disneyland a couple years when it was just me, my older sister, my parents. So it's just us four. And that was actually a really good time. Enjoyed that one.
Yeah.
That's the one I remember when I think about Disneyland. I don't think about that first one.
Dude, I remember one time I went to when I was in like a couple years before that. My aunt and uncle actually took me to Great America, me and Sammy, and that was fun. We had a good time with them.
Yeah.
But I remember the story about it, and I remember the feeling at the moment of when I threw a tantrum at the place and said I hate them. I know, and I regret that to this day. I love them so much. They're great people, and they are just little heartfelt church people, and they're just raising their single daughter.
Yeah. So,
who's now in 8th grade.
Yeah. So if we're talking about things,
and I regret that, but I remember that.
My only story that I truly regret as a kid is it was Christmas, and I was like 7 again or 8, could have been younger. Who knows? But my Uncle Billy, this is the same uncle that my parents have a problem with, whatever. And him and
comes around.
Yeah, him and his wife Karen, like they can't have kids. They don't have any kids, and they don't really know what to do with kids. And so I was really little, and I was a very girly girl. I liked Barbies, girly
Horses.
things, pink things. That was me. I liked girly stuff. They got me this Star Wars video game for like PlayStation.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
They were trying to help you test the waters, and they didn't realize that you actually liked the girly stuff.
Yeah, and but they got it for me, and I was just like just not happy. This was not what I wanted, and
you wanted something pink.
I don't even remember what I was expecting. Like they told me this, because like when I played video games, I had like the brat style video games. Like I was fucking girly. I'm not like that anymore. I don't like those things, but I did in this period of time. And I remember my dad pulling me into like the hallway, just fucking hammering me down, being like, "You need to apologize. That was not okay. Like you made them feel."
You were being okay.
Yeah, I was being reprimanded. They were like, "You made them feel horrible. They don't really know what to do with kids. They don't have any. You didn't think about anybody but yourself." I go back.
Wow, that's a little intense for a kid.
Yeah, but I mean, I deserved it. Let me be.
You were being a brat.
I was,
so.
totally. And I like when I look at photos of me on Christmas that year, they were not good. I looked so upset, just mad.
Right.
But like, okay, I apologized to them for this years later. Like I had
you remember it.
Yeah, I sat down, I talked with them, and I was like, I don't think you guys understood how bad I feel and felt about that moment.
Yeah.
And so we talked about it. I was like, I am so sorry. I appreciated it. I think about that every year on Christmas.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. We regret those things as kids, the ones that we remember especially. Like, I can't believe I did that. As an adult, that's nothing. I would never do that. I would never tell you I hate you.
Yeah.
Or tell you how much I'm disappointed in the gift you gave me.
I'm a spoiled child. Like, I am very spoiled. My family still spoils me. I acknowledge that. Like, I am. I definitely deserved everything in that moment. It taught me a good lesson I needed to learn. But, like, I held on to that.
Sometimes that sternness is something you need.
Yeah, but I held on to that for years. And then anytime, like, something pops up and I don't really know how to react or something, I do think about that still. And I'm like, well, don't react like that. Like, think about somebody else, not yourself. Like, you need a process.
Trying to orient yourself properly.
Yeah, because that was definitely like
I've made mistakes, and this is what I've learned from that. That's really where the grown-upness comes in. We were like, I can't do that again.
Yeah,
I know my mistakes.
That moment, it was just a gift. It shouldn't have been as big of a deal as it was, but like totally changed me as a person from that moment.
Yeah, that's a lesson that needs to be learned too. So good for you.
Yeah,
you remember the moment you learned it.
I was a spoiled brat, and I acknowledge.
On some level, we've all done it. Like I just said, I yelled at my aunt and uncle who took me to Great America, which was a big theme park. And have you been there?
Yeah, that one's a good one.
It's great. It's fun.
That one's fun.
I remember where it was too. I remember it was in front of the bumper cars.
Yeah, I like the mouse ride where you all sat in like the little
Yes, the square one.
Yeah, and then you,
like the squarish one.
Yeah, and then you just like go up and it does these like little loops.
Yeah, that one was great.
That was one of my favorites.
Yeah, that was called because it changed when it was sold from Paramount to Gilroy. Wasn't
it like Mousetrap or something?
Mousetrap, yeah. And then I think it changed something else, but who cares?
That's the original
it was Mousetrap.
one I remember.
Yeah, exactly. Like Top Gun will always be Top Gun and not Top Flight like they changed it to. Yeah, do you remember when it was actually based around the movie? And like you could go through the line and it would show like backdrops and like little movie stuff from the movie.
You know, I went, but I never got on that ride. I was too little.
Okay. Yeah, it was kind of a bigger ride.
I was too little, so like I would wait in line with everybody, but then I couldn't get on the ride.
Okay. So you just walk through and then kind of wait on the other side. Yeah. It's a fun one.
I know.
It's one that I remember really well.
I haven't been in years, and I haven't been at an age where I can like I'm tall enough, because like when I was in 8th grade, I was still not 5 foot.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you remember how tall you were? About like 4 something?
So I remember when I was tall enough to get on all the big kid rides at Six Flags. I don't remember.
That's a moment.
Like 4'10". I think you have to be 4'10".
It's coming of age.
I think you have to be like 4'10" or something, and then you can get on all the rides. So I was 4'10" in 8th grade.
Wow. Does that, I don't know is that a disadvantage for one of the genders growing up or sexes growing up? Like, do girls grow, because I know there's a growth spurt and then all the boys catch up and then shoot past.
Yeah.
I don't remember if that means that girls get to the age where they get to go on roller coasters first, or if the guys do, or if it balances out.
Well, girls are supposed to get to that age first, because you're supposed to have your growth spurt in like elementary to like middle.
Yeah.
And then you're supposed to
girls have it first, and then guys have it like the next year about.
Yeah, and then guys do most of their growing in like high school. That's when they really shoot up. It's a high school.
And they shoot up to, like, I got all the way up to 6'2".
Froze.
Sorry, you froze. I got all the way up to 6'2".
Yeah, I think I took 4 years growing 5. I took 5 years growing to 5'1.5".
Hey, and that's where you're now, or you gotta...
I'm 5'1.5". I'm almost 5'2".
I've always liked the shortness better. I feel like the standard is you always, as a guy, you always want to be taller than the person you're with, and you always want to be a little older. Not much, but you want to be a little older.
Yeah.
That's like the golden ratio where you're like, he's a little older and a little taller.
So you want to know a fun fact?
Tell me.
My dad is 6 years younger than my mom.
Interesting. 6 years. That's a big one.
It is.
That's a notable one.
Yeah. When my dad met my mom, he was 19 and my mom was 25.
Oh, that would be me meeting Piper now and she's 19.
Yeah.
that would be a lot different than our story. Is there anything like specific about that age difference that came up that you remember about, or is it just generally speaking that's really wild?
So the only reason my parents ended up together was because my dad put a lot of effort into my mom and her kids.
So he tried.
Huh? Yeah, when my dad met my mom, she already had 2 kids.
Interesting. So he married into being a father.
Yeah, he did. And then they tried for me for like 2 years. I almost wasn't born. My mom had a really hard time getting pregnant with me.
And you're the youngest now?
Yeah, I'm the youngest.
Okay.
My mom had a really, really hard time getting pregnant with me. So,
I see.
But their story is so funny. So like my dad was really young. He was 19, fresh in the military. They met through some friends that lived at the apartment complex that my mom was living at. And they were just best friends. That was all that they were. My mom, like, when she met him, she was like, he's gonna be my best friend. Like, he's a great dude. He's really young though. And so after a while being friends and all of that, they started dating. And then my dad got homesick and he started talking to his ex-girlfriend back home.
Oh, fuck.
And she sent him like her class ring, and he wore her class ring on like his pinky.
Okay, well, ugh.
Yeah, horrible, cheesy, horrible, but like my dad was 19, like so young.
Right, yeah,
Yeah, and so,
not excusable necessarily, but I get it.
Yeah, well, and they were like, I think at this point they like were really on the rocks, on the fence. My dad was really homesick. Things weren't really going that well, and my mom was like, "I'm fucking done with you. I have 2 kids. I'm done with you. Get out of my house.
Right.
Like, go away. I'm gonna figure it out." And he was gone for like, I don't know, 3 months or something like that. And then he showed up at my mom's, and he had a bloody nose. And so he was sitting on her stairs with a bloody nose, just dripping blood. And so my mom invites him inside. They clean it up. He talks, and he was like, "You're the only person I want. I realized that. I fucked up." Wow. And he has been there since that day.
How did he get the bloody nose?
It's actually like a family thing. We all get, like, I get chronic nosebleeds. Like, it just happens.
Oh, okay. I was thinking like he got in a bar fight and then went over to your mom afterward.
No, we can get it from being too hot, if it's too cold.
No, I have the same thing. Yeah, like I remember I actually bled on we went in on a family trip or something, like when I was really young, to like a family's house, and I had a bloody nose one night because of the altitude and bled on their white carpet. Yeah,
I get them still all the time. I'll randomly I'll get too hot when I sleep, and I wake up with one, and then I have to like quickly get out of bed before I ruin all the shit.
It sucks. I haven't had one in a while. I think it's because we're at sea level and it's a lot easier for us. But when I have had one and it gets on the sheets, it's always like, oh, this again.
Yes.
This again. I know what this is like. That I'm never going to see that pillowcase again.
Yes. Yes.
And also, there's going to be a little red dot on my pillow underneath the pillowcase forever.
Yeah.
Because it's not enough to throw it away, because it's just like a little dot usually. But like at the same time, I know that it's there and it's going to be stained. Yeah.
Yeah, so. That never disappears. But yeah, so that's why my dad had one. We just get them a lot. So he just happened to get one. He was waiting for my mom to get home from her shifts. Like he knew when she
He was actually going to talk with her anyway.
Yeah, and he was there, and he got a bloody nose waiting for her.
Okay.
Yeah, so, but yeah, their story's pretty crazy. But yeah, he was there, and my dad is such a good dad that all of us consider him our dad, and then the other two, they have like sperm donors.
Oh, I see. So that's my biological dad.
Yeah.
And like, that's what they would say.
Yeah, like their biological dad, we all consider them like sperm donors. Like we call them sperm donors. That's how we talk about them. And then
is that because of just lack of they don't talk to him at all, or there was like a fallout?
Depends on the sister that we talk about. So my eldest sister, they just didn't talk, and then he reached back out to her when she was 16, but he was running from the court, so he couldn't.
Oh, he reached out to her at a bad time.
Well,
really, dude.
He was running from the court for 19 years before the court gave up.
Wow, 19 years.
Yeah.
Dang, dude.
Yeah.
That's something you should probably get a hold on.
Well, he was working under his table, didn't have anything with his name on it, living like under the radar to get away from to get out without
the
paying.
Feds.
Yeah. And then, but he would reach out to Chantel, and when she got a phone, they would text and stuff, but he never told her really where he was or anything like that, just in case she told my mom. And then I met my eldest sister's biological dad for the first time at her wedding.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they just.
How was he? They just didn't talk much. And you don't have to share anything you don't want to.
Yeah, I don't know anything really. They didn't really talk. Like they talked at the wedding. I met him, and once I saw him, because I had never seen him before. Wow, my sister turning out the way that she looks makes so much sense. Like I could see it. I was like, I have never seen him before, so that was really cool. And my mom was drunk trying to get through that process of seeing him. So that, I know it was really hard on her. But I don't know. I don't know a lot about him. I know they're still in contact, and that he's not around though. He's a very absent, but they still have communication.
I see.
Yeah, it's very, he's not a dad, but he is, hers. They talk. But
he's just biological dad.
Yeah.
We actually it's specifying biological is better,
Yeah, he's just.
Because.
But they have a better relationship than my middle sister. Her and her dad are not on okay terms. They are not good. He got remarried, and then he had 2 more kids. And then when he had those kids, he cut her off completely. And then she,
Wow.
yeah, and she was also like abused by her family. Like she would be locked in the room by herself for hours, no food, no this. Yeah, she would be like locked in a closet. So she was really abused by her dad.
That's horrible.
Yeah, and none of us knew until a couple years ago. She finally told everybody like what had happened to her while she was there. But so they have zero contact. She cut him out years and years ago. He didn't go to like her military graduation. He did not care about her. So he's probably the worst one out of their two situations. So
yeah, I'm glad that you have such a good relationship with your father, and I'm glad that he actually expanded and took that role for them.
That's why, like, I love my dad. He's everyone's dad. He's, he adopted my sister, Stephanie, my middle sister. He adopted her. So even if something were to happen to my mom, whatever, he would have all legal rights and stuff for Stephanie.
Fantastic.
Yeah, but he did. He adopted her. I remember that day. He cried. She cried. It was beautiful.
That's a story I've seen, you see it on TikTok or on YouTube or something where she hands him a piece of paper that if he signs it, he's her legal dad.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's like, that is such a, that's on the same level as like seeing a soldier come home, it's just like one of those core human moments where it's like, anyone, no matter who you are, can connect with this moment here. Yeah. And everyone knows exactly what that means. Yeah. And it hits them all the same, and especially the ones that have gone through it themselves.
Yeah, and so I was there for that, and it was so heart touching and everything, because she didn't have to do that, but she wanted him to, and she wanted him to be her, father.
It's a statement thing. Yeah. It's not even a required thing. It's just something that she wanted to do for him.
Yeah, and so,
And as, symbolic.
Yeah, so Stephanie is adopted by my dad, which is, that's a cool, but yeah.
So we're an hour and 5 minutes in. Would you be down to take from the bowl?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I don't know if I said it on recording, so this is a bowl with a bunch of different controversial topics that we'll pick one and we'll talk about it. And maybe it's about memes, maybe it's about abortion, but we'll find out. Okay. This one's about climate change. Okay, climate change. We'll go easy. Does it exist, or do I believe in it? Yes and yes.
Yes and yes.
Yes and yes. It's so easy, It's. I don't know why that one is a hard one for people. How could you deny it? It's like, you see how many cars are on the road. That's not natural, bro. I don't know what you mean by we're not doing anything to the environment. It's obvious.
I'm pretty sure I got into an argument with Jeremy's dad about climate change.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that what they're saying isn't somewhat. I get what you're saying. Like, yeah, there's shifting in climates naturally, but this one is us.
It's like, we are doing some things. We could admit that there are some things we could do a lot better. Just to, even if you just want to make the planet healthier and like not have garbage everywhere and trash bags.
Dude, I just watched today actually a documentary called, what was it called? It was one on Netflix about this guy who wanted to do a video on pollution and plastic in the oceans, and he went through the process and he found out that it has a lot more to do with everything than he realized. 46% of the ocean's plastics is fishing nets. Yeah, and fishing nets, and a little bit more than 50% is just fishing gear in general. So it's like that is, and they're killing fish at such an incredible rate that the climate is actually shifting because of the rate of fishing that we're going through right now. Like when you overfish, you actually kill the coral reefs, which actually affects the general fish population entirely.
Right.
Like there's no way around the fact that we're fishing so much that we're actually killing the seas.
Right. Yeah.
And that's the video I watched was more on just ocean stuff, but. Because it's over international waters, a lot of it's legal. It's a shit ton of legal fishing and a shit ton of illegal fishing too. Wow. Like the whaling industry is actually starting back up in Japan.
The what?
The whaling industry.
Oh,
they actually just made it legal for them to fish it or to get whales again.
That is horrible.
Yeah, and oh god, there was one section where they were checking out this sustainable whaling in I think it was Ireland. Or Scotland off the coast, and the claims were that this was a sustainable one. And what they did is they just took a pod of whales, pushed them into a cove, like forced them to swim into a cove, and then up onto a beach, and where the crowd is waiting, and kills them. And just kills them. And they were claiming all this stuff about how this is a super sustainable way to fishing, but you're literally just driving whales onto the beach, cutting their heads off, and not even sparing the babies. There was a baby on the shore with all the adults, baby whale. And I'm like, what the hell? What are you doing to the planet, people? Do you not see the amount of blood in the water from whales and not go, maybe we shouldn't do this anymore? I don't know.
It's like you hear things about like how we're doing better, and then you hear shit like that, and you're like, how are we still doing stuff like this?
Yeah.
Or like
one fishing boat like 50 years ago used to get like 1 to 2 tons of fish a month. Now it's 1 to 2 tons per boat a year. So, and there's a shit ton more boats. So there's a lot more fishing going on and a whole lot less fish to actually fish.
Yeah. It's so like because I really enjoy like eating fish. I really like fish and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like,
me too. Sushi is amazing.
Yes, it's really good. Like fish is like probably one of my favorite things to eat, you know, but like there's better ways for us to be doing stuff. And we also aren't like, I feel like if we were to actually improve climate change, we as a whole, like a world, would have to come up with like an agreement on things you can and cannot do, and have like one coast be like, no, that's fine, and then the other coast be like, no, that's not okay. Because if we don't all come together to improve things, nothing is going to get improved because the issues are so major.
Actually, let me look up real quick because I have Netflix on my phone. I'll look up what that one was, because I would really love to say it on this, and then maybe you could get a chance to see it if you can.
Yeah, I'll write it down.
It's one that, because I feel like now we either can't eat fish at all, or we really have to do a crap ton of research to actually know if we want to eat this fish, because that was a really eye-opening documentary. Seaspiracy. SEASPIRACY.
It made you not want to eat fish anymore?
It makes me think that the only solution right now, until we figure it out, is to stop eating fish entirely. It's not like I was eating a lot of fish to begin with. This is America. But at the same time, I don't even think I'm comfortable with buying a thing of tuna if I was planning on having a tuna fish sandwich. I think now I'd have to skip it.
I think
because
something that like
it's not even that good for you at the end of the day with all the mercury it has.
Right. But, I think probably one of my biggest things I don't like to eat is beef.
Yeah, it's sad. No matter what you do, it's all sad. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like that one or chicken. Have you like watched documentaries on
the big warehouses? Yeah, you see them. It's
and like
horrifying.
They breed a chicken made for killing.
Have you? Okay. There's a video that you can watch of the sorting in the hatching facility. Have you seen it?
Yes.
Oh my God! It's like I was just talking. I know this is sad now, but I was just talking about a baby whale dying. The amount of chicks that get thrown into a grinder because they're male and for no other reason. That's half the chicks that are being born into the world, blink into existence, get thrown into a conveyor belt, dropped into a grinder, and then gone.
I know.
And then we have to convince people, yeah, veganism's not that bad, bro. And then they go, yeah, vegans. It's like, yeah, they're doing it for a good reason. Vegans who are vegan all the time are actually thinking about that stuff. And a lot of the times you're right. They go, not you, but those people are right. That's saying that they kind of go a little overboard.
Yeah.
But like at the same time, they're thinking about, when they think about meat, the chicken industry grinding up baby chicks.
Yeah, there's so many reasons why you should eat meat. Like there's so many, because like I don't want to go like, I would never go vegan. I'd go vegetarian, but like I'd never go vegan.
It's hard.
But I also like try to consume less meat in my daily diet.
Yeah.
And like,
good for you. I think that's the correct answer, you know?
Yeah, because I mean, like, do you need to be eating, like, in huge amounts of it? The amount of meat people eat is ridiculous. Like, half your plate does not need to be meat. It just
Yeah.
doesn't. You don't need half of your plate to be filled with meat. Like, you can eat something else.
It should always be. It should never be more than a third.
Yes.
And even that's like a lot at times.
Yeah.
Although, and then you go back to the other thing. It's like, it is true. Meat's delicious. There's no way around it. A lot of people just don't care, and they're like, well, this is delicious, so I'm just gonna eat it. And that's the other thing. Should we even get upset at people who want to eat meat, or like who are happy with eating meat? Because
I don't think you should get upset. I think people should do like the farmers, the people who make it should do things more humanely, because there is a correct and humane way of caring for these animals and going through this. Do we need to have a chicken that is literally made to kill and then just, like, no.
Yeah, the chicken thing is awful.
Yeah.
At the very least, okay, so anything that's lives its entire life in a cage is awful. That's kind of across the board. No, this is not the way it should be, and no, they're not happy. I think that and it's hard to even like confirm that anything was free range at all. And that's the thing with those companies is they just get away with so much shit that even though everyone knows that that's awful, there's nothing that the average person can even do to make it more humane for the companies. Because the companies just lie, or the companies just slap a label on it and say they did something, but kind of didn't.
Oh my gosh, I wish I could remember the name of this documentary, but it was about this man becoming a chicken farmer and what he did. And to get a free range thing on the chicken, product, on the packaging, they just needed a way to be outdoors. Like, they just needed a way outside. So he set up this little fence around the door opening that probably gave it no more than 10 feet. Like, no more than that. And you could say it was free range because it had access to the outside within like a 10-foot range.
Yeah, and that probably doesn't even apply. Like, it doesn't even mean all the time, right?
No.
This means that, so the gate can be closed.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, oh my god, dude, bro. And that is the standard.
That's all you need to
if you actually look at an aerial view of the chicken place, where like Foster Farms, there's like 3 huge warehouses, and 2 of them are regular, and then 1 of them is free range, but they all look the same.
Yeah.
They look like the same buildings. So it's like, what is the difference of the 3?
Yeah.
Like, is there a difference? And they're not actually open on saying actually how they take care of their chickens. They just tell you that we're taking care of it.
Yeah.
Something like that.
But yeah, even if they weren't the same buildings, all he needs is a 10-foot space and an open door. And that is enough to be free range.
Interesting.
I can't remember what this documentary called, but
Food Inc. No, that wasn't it.
No, it was like, I don't know. It was on Netflix, though. I do remember that. But it was all about this man becoming a chicken farmer and the process to get there and like everything he did and how he got the labels. And he talked to like a bunch of different people, and he set up all the chickens on what most chicken farmers do. And it was just insane to me. And the way that they lived, and they gained so much weight so quickly that the chickens can't walk by the end of like their time.
Yeah, I've heard that, and like, because they live their whole lives in the cage, so they just basically lose the ability to move their legs at all.
Yeah, and then as they gain weight, because they pump them with food, and they're really trying to get them to gain weight quickly so they can get the turnaround, that after like just a little while of time, they just can't move anymore. They stop moving, and then they are killed on your plate. That's awful.
That is so awful. I remember watching a movie that was about a California farm. I can't remember the name of it, but it was about it was farmers trying to be as sustainable as possible. So they would actually have different sections in the farm, one devoted to fruit trees, one devoted to some other thing, and they would also have animals on the farm, and they would also have like geese as well, and they would have the geese go through the tree farm and eat all the snails that were attacking the trees and stuff like that. And they would and one of the did you know that one of the main sources of food for a goose is or a duck, a duck. And the main sources of food for a duck is actually snails.
No.
They'll just walk up to a snail and eat it whole. And there was like an infestation of snails in their trees, so they used their ducks to attack the snails. And then their big thing on it was they're not going to kill inhumanely anything.
Yeah.
So they had like one pig, and stuff like that. They were trying to be as sustainable as possible, and the irrigation system was specifically designed to not have to use any pesticides or anything like that.
Nice.
It was really cool.
That would be something cool to watch because there's so many.
And they got affected by the California wildfires when they were raging a while back.
Oh, that's sad.
That was a big deal. Yeah. Climate change. That's what we were talking about, and wildfires.
Yeah, I hate the fires were really bad this year. That's part of the reason why I want to leave.
Did you get affected much?
Huh?
Did you get affected like by the smoke at the time?
Yes, this year, because we were online when all the fires happened, luckily school didn't change or anything like that for me. But the year prior, with the car fire, the campfire and stuff, I was out of school for weeks. Weeks, like literally, like
that was scary.
Yeah, they let us out like about 2 weeks before Thanksgiving break, something like that. And they were like, oh, just this week, and then come back next week, and then you'll have, whatever. But then they were like, no, we'll just extend it, go all the way up through Thanksgiving break. So, like, I had almost 4 weeks of school off. And then by the time we came back, we had 1 week until finals. And they crammed everything they possibly could 1 week prior to finals.
Oh, man. That was probably a rough one.
Yeah, like some of my classes it ended up working out really well because I was taking physics at the time, and at the beginning of the semester she announced that we were going to have this project at the end of the semester and to be taking and we'd be working on this like our specific lab that we do these little lab write-outs for. We had to take pictures of our design. Okay, well, I didn't do any of that. I didn't take the pictures. I didn't take anything that we did. I wrote nothing down. And so the end of the semester was approaching, and she was like, yeah, just scratch the whole project. We're not doing it. And I was like,
okay, cool, sick. That's a load of stress off my head.
That was probably the one class where I was like, oh, thank you. Because I really messed up on that. I forgot that was even a thing. And we'd finish up the lab, and my whole group would look around and be like, did anyone take a picture of that? And I'm just like, nope.
Didn't matter at the end of the day anyway.
Yeah, so it ended up working out. But that semester was pretty crazy. I remember that. And then like that last week, I had like a couple assignments due every day. And then they still wanted us to study for finals. I was like, how am I going to get all this done in 1 week?
I feel like that's the weather thing is like the hardest thing that's for humans to grasp about climate change. It's very confusing because in California you have raging wildfires, and it's really easy to say, look at the climate warming. And then in Colorado they have cold fronts where it's actually more snowy than it has been in years. So it's like, oh, I get why people are confused. It's just when you actually look at the scientists involved, they're actually saying a different story than the weather you're seeing every day.
Yeah.
So it's like, those are the people you need to be listening to. Stop looking at the weather reports and saying, I know exactly what's going on.
Yeah. Well, like, yeah. I know. I'm getting, like, that cold front that happened in Texas. That was crazy.
Yeah, all the way down to Texas. Yeah. There's a lot of states in the between Texas and the north.
Yeah, I know, but Texas
that's wild. No, you're correct. I'm just saying that went all the way down to Texas.
Yeah, because that's when Colorado had all that snow and they were snowed in and like that was crazy. I think the only reason why Texas made so much news was because they were unprepared for that weather. Right. Unlike the north, where they are prepared. They have what they need to get through that weather.
It was just a cold winter.
Yeah, it's just a cold winter. But for them, they don't have snow plows. They have none of the stuff that you need. They don't even have heaters most of the time in those buildings.
A lot of, especially.
And then they had that freezing winter.
Yeah, wild stuff. And from what I hear, and because I'm not like a person that knows about the environment. I'm not an environmentalist, but it's something like climate change is causing more extreme weather. Yeah. So that's the explanation right now. And in that, I'm like, okay, that's confusing, but I'm just going to roll with it because it's still scientists, kind of saying it. But what do I know about it, really?
I mean, I think, like, the biggest, like, what I think of is the extreme weathers. And, hot places, I think it's just becoming more unlivable, and I think that's the problem, is because we are getting to these more extremes of either or. I think that's why climate change is such a problem, is because if it gets too much to one extreme on either end, it's going to be unlivable. You'll have no life here because
Yeah.
we can't survive in like 150-degree weather, and then you can't survive in -90.
Right. And the people who are not concerned about it at all is concerning. It's wild. It's my friend. Regardless of what you believe, you would have to say that we have an effect on this stuff. It's like, I get it. You're not really concerned about it, but at the same time, is it really that hard to make this specific change here, or to fight for this specific change here, or to not just kind of shit on someone who is fighting for that? And that's the one that I think is the most annoying. It's like, I know for a fact that you don't care about, or not you specifically, but those people, they don't really care about the environment. But at the same time, why are there so many people that are fighting for not caring about the environment?
Yeah.
Like, what are you fighting for? Just let the person who's concerned about it do their thing and say, I don't know if that's true for this reason, but you're the one that's actually studying up on the environment and trying to help it, so maybe I should just kind of let you do your thing.
Well, like, my thing is even if you don't you want to leave a better world than what you left it in?
Yeah. You can't just say that we don't do anything and the environment's just going to be the way it is. You look at your own community and you know that if you don't pick up the trash, it gets pretty bad.
Yeah, so it's like...
That's a simple thing.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, you don't have to believe in it. Everyone, each your own, whatever. But don't you, like, especially, like, I think about it, like, I want kids one day. What kind of world do I want to be bringing them into?
I want the air to be nice for them.
Yeah, and it's like, or going into COVID, all of these places we're talking about how the air was so clean, and the rivers and the lakes, when they were getting bluer, they were clearing out, you could actually see to the bottom. And I'm like, this doesn't show you that something is wrong. We're just all okay that it looks like this, but after that period of time, for everything being shut down, nobody going anywhere, all of these things improving, seeing new things, like there was like dolphins in a bay recently. That
got pushed into the bay?
Huh?
Like stuck in the bay?
No, they swam into the bay. Like, it wasn't here. I can't remember where it was, but the water was so clean for the first time in so long. The dolphins swam
okay,
up.
I see. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like we put trash in the water. Of course it's affecting the environment. Of course the gas going into the air is affecting the environment. Why it's to me it's as simple as we do a thing and then there's a reaction because of the thing we did. It's
like, I just feel like if being in this time has taught people anything, it's that we have caused so many of our own problems.
It's that basically all of them, to be honest.
I mean, yes, but like...
No, I agree with you, though.
Other than, like, a natural disaster. Like, when you're, like, I think some of the most eye-opening stuff for me has happened in COVID, has happened since nobody's been going anywhere. All of these things are changing and happening, and a normal person should reflect on it. Yeah.
I think the easiest way to know that we actually did something is thinking about the amount of oil we're pumping out of the ground into the air. So naturally there is a we of carbon in the atmosphere. And I'm sure you know something about this just because it's kind of general knowledge for anyone who's an environment supporter. But it's like we naturally have this much carbon and then it gets absorbed into the earth and then kind of refreshed and then put back into the air as something else.
Right.
But because of all the oil underneath the earth, that was all dormant. That didn't ever touch the surface or the air or anything on land or in the water. It was just always down there but never touched anything. And then all of a sudden humans came along and said, hey, there's a bunch of stuff down there that we can burn. And so they pumped all of that stuff out from underneath the ground into to these factories that refine it and then burn it for fuel. So it's not really surprising when you think about it like that, because of course that's going to affect the environment, because that's going to put a crap ton of CO2 into the air or whatever, or methane or whatever it is. Just burning oil is going to affect all this stuff.
Yeah.
But people don't like to think about that, because that's the most accurate way to describe it and the most easy way to understand it.
Yeah, I think because I'm an engineering major,
right,
I'm learning.
Right. I'm sure you knew about what I was talking about.
Well, but I have to know, because what we do, like, I'm taking this is it's a little bit different from oil, but it's on the same ground. I'm taking a concrete technology class. In this class, it's talking about better ways to help the environment within concrete, because it's the, I think, second or third most widely used material in the world.
Yeah.
And
every building, everything,
yeah,
every sidewalk.
Yeah, it's so widely used, and there's so many different ways to make it. Like, you can use so many different parts, aggregates, just there's so much that you can use. And which with all of these different ways, they all have their own consequences. They all have these different things going on. And so we talked about a couple different kinds of them. And, my professor, he is an environmental, he is an environmentalist for an engineer. Like, he really cares about the environment. He also tries to work that in with what he's doing. So he spends more money to get something more sustainable for the environment, And so it's really cool, like, talking with, or like learning in his class, because he talks so much about the environment, what we are doing to it. And then even in I love this because my classes talk so much about it. And we talk about if we don't do our part to make more sustainable buildings, more sustainable this, as our population keeps growing, we're going to have a lot of problems in the future. And so learning in my classes and going through all of this, we're constantly talking about the environment, what we're putting into it, what we're doing, how we can better change it, what are better ideas. So it's cool to be in something.
The knowledge flow is helpful. It helps get the word out there about what you can actually do.
Yeah, and
about what you should actually be fighting for.
Yeah, and all of my classes, we all talk about the environment. Every professor I've had in my program has talked about the environment, has talked about what we're doing, how we could better help it, and how we need to do that if we want, a better planet to live on later.
I think that and I'm not saying it rudely, I just think that the reason people are against the environmentalist idea is just ignorance. It's just you don't know what you're talking about. It is this way, and I don't know how to say it differently.
Yeah, I think it's that, or I think a lot of things happen because of just stubbornness. They don't want to be wrong. They don't want to admit that they didn't know what they were talking about, or that there are better ways to do things.
Yeah. And then there's religious values that kind of come into the mix a little bit, where it's I believe that God is going to take care of the environment, and I respect that. It's just, no, there's some stuff that we are doing that is affecting things. At the very least, this is true regardless of what religious beliefs you have.
Even if you have that kind of faith, and you should not be that ignorant, because when you read the Bible, God doesn't promise you anything. And
the thing is, in the Bible, it actually says we are called to be stewards of the earth.
Yeah.
We're the captains of this boat, and it's not looking so great.
No. That's why that kind of stuff boggles my mind, because I'm you're obviously not reading it, because if you read it, or even try to read it, you would realize that, one, God doesn't promise you anything, and two, he's just there to help you. He's not there to give you anything. And then if you mess up this planet, that is your own damn problem. God's not going to come down and be like, it's okay. Here, it's new, like it was all those years ago. Done.
Look at family relationships. Things get stressed and things get broken, and that's just how our natural response to things are. And that's with something as important as family, those still get messed up sometimes.
Well, that's
and just like our relationship to our families, our relationship to the environment can get strained, and we can make mistakes that actually affect both of our lives.
Yeah, and I don't know, people who just think God will fix everything are just so ignorant.
They've tuned out.
Yeah,
they've tuned out.
Because that's not the case. Even if God were to really fix everything, no one would be sick. There would be no fatal accidents. Nobody would die in that kind of way. That's just no.
The way
why
I think
pray? Why would you pray for better things if He's supposed to come down and fix everything?
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. It's a good point. What are you even asking for? Because if we don't already have it, why are you asking for it?
Yeah,
it's God's plan if you don't have it.
Who are you going to be praying to? What are you praying for? What are you hoping for if God has already done everything for you?
I do because I agree with that. I actually fully agree with that. I do like Jordan Peterson in his explanation about prayer. And that would be kind of you're orienting your own mind to achieve a goal, and by praying about it, you're basically telling yourself, this is what my goal is, or this is what I want in life. So it's like it helps you on an individual level. But I think that with the environment stuff, if you're just saying God's going to fix it, then you're really not looking at actually what's going on.
Yeah, and I think, I think a lot of like, I think praying can do the same thing as like a manifestation when people do that. I think those can be kind of similar depending on if you're looking at like, I guess, a God. If you remove him, when people pray, they're doing it to the same thing like as you would manifestation. You are happy for those things. You want better things to come out. That's kind of how I look at it. Just manifestation, it's not pointed at anyone. But when you pray, it's pointed at someone specifically or a thing specifically. But I think both of those things can be very good things. I think, if you manifest things or you talk positivity, because I think what you put out into the universe will come back to you. So if you're positive, you keep trying, you're uplifting, those kinds of things, it will come back. As if you're negative, if you're always putting yourself down, then that's all, that will also come back to you.
And I feel like all of us, especially me, a lot of times fall into that trap. Where it's like you just keep piling on yourself. And that's really what you're doing. You pile on yourself.
Yeah, and when you talk down to yourself, you're never going to get where you want to be at because you already put it into your mind that you're not going to get there.
Yeah.
So there's always
you have to have an amount of self believing in yourself, essentially. But and you can't be pompous about it, but you got to believe in yourself too. It's like a balance between those two.
Well, because I think, having some support from people is really important, but they can't do it for you. You always have to have that, support for yourself too. And that's something that you have to learn over time.
Yeah. One of the things about doing this particular kind of podcast is that you really find out that at a certain point, you have to know when you're forcing it and when it's natural. And walking that line is very difficult because people are different. I've never gotten past the beginning of a conversation about religion with my parents, but I've been able to talk about it with everyone else at least a little bit.
Yeah.
I've never been, so it's like, it's kind of interesting. So it's like, I need to know, and I don't think it's because I'm forcing it with my parents, but I do see the line that people are different. And some people want to dive into the conversations and really listen to someone who says that they don't believe in God, and other people really just don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
And it's weird because as a society, because that's kind of the cornerstone of what we believe, we should be willing to talk about that.
Yeah.
And if you look at the state of politics and the state of all this other stuff going on right now, it seems like the lack of communication is one of the biggest things that we do ourselves a disservice. We don't talk about things enough.
I think, I agree 100% that we don't talk about enough stuff. And I think that there was that saying, like, don't talk about, like, what you can and cannot talk about for, like, family Thanksgiving dinner, don't
religion
talk about
and politics.
Don't talk about this, don't talk about religion, like, there was things that you just didn't talk about at, like, family things. But
and it's still true to an extent.
Yeah, and at
a family event, it's kind of like you don't see each other that often, so people butt heads more.
Yeah, and I also, like, for me personally, it's like sometimes I don't want to talk about it at those kinds of things because I do just want to enjoy your company. But, like, if they were to ask me or whatever, I would talk about it. But how respectful can you be of my views, and I'll be respectful of yours? Because I also feel like there's always that lack of respect for some people too, where they can't respect that you think that way.
Yeah, I can, and that's the other thing, because I can tell you a Christian things that I think are silly about their religion, but generally speaking, if you're talking to someone who's religious, you try to be respectful to what they believe.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna. I don't want to jump in and say you're stupid for believing this. It's all make believe. But I also don't want to not talk about it at all. And at a certain extent, you kind of got to go, okay, we disagree about kind of the core of even how the universe was made.
Yeah.
Where do we go from here? And how do I continue forward? How do I have a conversation with this person?
I think.
And it's a touch and go process.
Yeah, and I think sometimes the best way to move forward is just to be like, okay, like, I understand your point, your view, because even though you don't agree, I think 90% of the time, if your conversation is respectful, you can actually understand why they think the way they do. And you can make sense of it. You don't have to agree with it, but you can understand where they're coming from, and that alone is a big. Yeah. It's important.
Yeah.
To just.
I'd say so. One of the interests. So like, one group looking at the other group is also an interesting thing. It's like atheists and Christians. Christians want to say that atheists have nothing to put their values on, and then atheists say you're being ignorant and for how the world actually is. And it's kind of like when you actually break down both sides, you see that yes, atheists can have a set of values that is something and real.
Yeah.
And not just because they don't believe in a God doesn't mean that they want to kill themselves at all times. You know?
Yeah.
It almost feels like Christians are saying that because you don't believe in a God, I don't know why you have any values at all.
No, it's like
there's more to it.
I wasn't raised in a very religious household, and all of my views I have come up to by myself. My parents did not bring me to church. If I went to church, that was on my own accord. But I stopped going when I was in like middle school, and all of the views and stuff I have now are just off research. And if I want that view and all of
things
my
that you've come across on your own.
Yeah, it's all stuff that I have decided that I believe in or don't believe in on my own, but my core values are the same as they always have been.
I'm still not going to lie, cheat, and steal.
Yeah,
you know?
It's like I'm not going to do that.
And I'm not going to kill.
Yeah, I'm not going to kill. I don't want to hurt people. I want to try my best. I'm not trying to, like there are things that you do that should be instilled in you the whole time. Yeah. And if everybody has these values, why does it matter? Yeah. If someone believes in it or not.
I think, and that's the thing. I think because now we're talking about religion. Do you want to shift into talking about religion and get away from climate change, or do you want to actually like circle back because that wasn't the subject we started on?
Oh, we can go to religion. I think climate change.
Okay.
Done.
So yeah, I feel like that's true that we definitely need to respect them, what they believe, and respect the values that they have. And I'm just looking at some of the greater impact. I think it's confusing for children to be told at home this is the truth, and then to go to school and hear this is the truth, and then hear that your parents are saying that the school is stupid, you should believe this thing here.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm like, now I see a breakdown, because there are a lot of fundamentalist Christians who will scream and shout about how the world actually was created in 6 days, and there was a worldwide flood, and demons can inhabit the bodies of pigs if in proper circumstances. And it's just like, okay. We can disagree about a lot of things, but the harder you push for those specific things, the more I'm going to have to push back.
Right.
Because that's not something that in my worldview that I can accept, because I don't believe that that's even possible.
Right.
So, and when you get to that point in the conversation, there's like this breakdown because neither side really knows how to approach the other one.
Right.
Where someone who believes that stuff is saying, but this has been true to me for 20, 30, 40 years.
Yeah.
And the other person's like, okay, there's no evidence for it.
Right.
And it's like a back and forth between those ideals. And both are very, very, very stubborn.
Yeah, I think that's why there are, obviously that's why when kids go to school, you're not supposed to learn about religion in school.
Right. And you understand that.
Yeah, like I think that is why you do those things, especially like when you send kids off to school. But I also don't, like, I guess for myself and like the way I was raised, I would do what my parents did. And because my mom, she went to church and she had a person come over and do Bible study, and like my mom really enjoyed it.
It's lovely.
Yeah.
It's a lovely community.
But she never forced that onto us. We were able to make our own decisions, and if that's what we wanted to do or not. And so my mom, her Bible study thing person would come over, they would go over stuff, and then like me and my sister, we would be playing in the back or whatever. And then when I went to church, I'd go with my friend and we would go to church. But then when I stopped going, there was no questions asked. There was not like, why are you gonna stop going? Nothing. It was just like, you don't want to go anymore? Okay. You want to keep, I would do that. And I think that's what people should do. If you keep forcing things onto people and nobody's able to make up their own mind or come to their own conclusions, then you just have a bunch of stupid people who are just listening and being told what's true other than finding out.
It's blind faith for sure.
Yes.
And even when I was talking to that pastor that I was talking about, he was even saying, yes, you see it. Even as a pastor, you can see a lot of people come here and then go home and don't really think about it much. It's people going with the flow. And that's not different for the Christian church. It's kind of the way things are in general.
Yeah.
And it's sad because, like, if you really buckle down and do the work on why you believe these specific things, to me, it seems like you would get to the conclusion that, I at the very least can't confirm any of this.
Yeah. And
it's like, it's not that it's wrong, but at the very least you have to say that the evidence does not support some of these major claims that you're talking about.
Yeah, and I think there's nothing wrong in having a faith or whatever, because
Yeah.
I mean, in all reality, I think it's more of a like not a cushion, but like something to keep you looking forward to like your afterlife.
Yeah.
I know you don't believe in one.
It's comforting it's a death comfort.
It is.
It makes it more like chewable.
Yeah, and I think that's why a lot of people do, if they do decide to believe in anything, it's because that's what they want to be true, or that's what they hope for, and that's what they.
I think I remember Freud saying that was one of his big pushes, that religion was something about fear of death, and that's one of the reasons why. And I don't know if that's the only reason, but I certainly think that that's a big reason why it would stick around. As from my position now, more of an evolution base, it's like I would say that religion stuck around, and that's because of that reason specifically, and other things too, but that is a big one.
I think that one and like your core values is probably why religion
how to treat each other
stuck around for as long as it did. But I know
at this sorry.
Yeah, I know, like, what I believe in is mostly because I can't prove any of it, but this is what I want to be true. So I'm going to go with it.
Yeah.
Because worst case scenario, best case scenario, it's true. Worst case scenario, it's not, and something else is going to happen, but I'm going to keep sticking with hoping that this will happen.
I think what I'm getting really stuck on right now is just, like, I don't think it's too much and like it sounds ridiculous when you're like I'm not trying to be rude, but the Bible creation has the sun come after plants, and it's like I don't want to be ridiculous or rude, but like there's a lot of ways you could say that creation is like it was a commentary on evolution. If you actually look, light started first. You say your Big Bang started light off in time at the same time. So and like yes, that's a great comparison. Light and the Big Bang, they work together, a big flash. But at the other hand, there's no possible way that plants popped into the universe and then the stars came. It's like, okay, and is it too much to say we should all as humanity at least agree that the sun came before plants? And this is where it's like, am I pushing too hard for that? Because people do believe this.
I think,
I think I'm not pushing too hard, but I've been informed by some people that maybe I should not push too hard.
I think people follow faith too blindly. I think that's really the problem with all religions, all of them, is that there are these people that just blindly be like, this is what is right, this is what I believe in, and this is what I'm doing. When that's
soldiers for their cause.
And that is wrong. You shouldn't blindly follow anything. You should do your own research, and even if you don't 100% believe in everything, we are so, like, we have come so far as a society where we normalize so many things. It is normal to have, our spirituality or have these kinds of things without believing in it 100%.
Yeah,
why
exactly.
do we have to, why
testing the waters is not a problem for anyone.
Then it's like all these people who are just so hardcore, like, this is the truth. It's like, okay, if that is really the 100% truth, why are so many people out here doing other things? Or
if
you know what I'm trying to say?
If that's the truth, why is there suffering? It's that question always comes up no matter what religion you talk about. It's like, that's still a glaring issue. If that's true and you're correct and this is the truth, you're telling me that your God or gods condone this amount of suffering in the world. And if you look at like older, like multiple God stories, a lot of the times it was the gods doing stuff and us humans being affected, but the gods never really caring about us. And you could kind of see why they would say that. If you look at the world now, it's like, okay, I don't know what's happening, but I know there's a thunderstorm over there and Susie just is dying. So maybe those are connected, maybe they're not, but because I don't have any information on the situation, I could say whatever I want. And if I believe that it's God that's affecting Susie, then it really, and I can tell people that and they can agree with me, then maybe it is.
I think that's why I don't know, I just think people I don't know. I think there's just so much comfort in a religion, you know, believing.
Yeah.
And one that people don't want to think anything else. Because if you really do fully believe in these things without question, there's a lot of comfort in it.
Yeah.
You can just blindly be like, no, this is going to be okay. It's fine. You live in like a bliss.
Yeah. It really is kind of like the ignorance is bliss kind of thing.
Yeah. And
you see it and it makes sense. And it's really, you don't worry about what you're not thinking about.
Yeah. You don't, you know, if you really believe that, you know, God is going to fix all these things and you're not worrying about it and you just find comfort because you'd be like, oh no, it's God's plan. It's God's this. He'll take care of it. And I just get to now live the rest of my life and do whatever I want.
And honestly, if it wasn't for the most extreme examples of what we're talking about, then I wouldn't really feel the need or even the desire at all to speak up. But like, when you tell me that when a person tells me that they don't support homosexuality at all, period, in fact, it's worthy of damnation, then it's like, okay, well, am I not obligated to fight that? Yeah. Am I not obligated to at least say, I don't think that's right for these reasons? Because that's like a core thing about humans right now, is that what happens when the natural way isn't the way that we decide on? Yeah. Yeah. It's like, can we not just let it go? And then Christians actually tell you, no, I can't let it go because my guidebook says that it's bad.
Yeah, and it's like, well, my thing about the Bible is that it's been rewritten so many times. Mm-hmm. So even and not a lot of people can actually read the original Bible. So it's like you have...
original Greek or whatever.
Yeah, you know, you have all of these versions of the Bible coming out, written by somebody else that's bullshit.
Yeah. And before they were written, they were just oral stories that they told each other. So are we really saying that it was going to be accurately told every time?
Yeah. And like, there's like, I think it's called like the rapture, you know, the end of the world is coming.
Yeah. The apocalypse or whatever.
Yeah, something. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't.
Yeah. I think the apocalypse, like the world ending, is a possibility, but not like the rapture, you know?
Yeah, I think the world ending is totally a possibility.
Yeah. But, which is why we're worried about environmental stuff.
Yeah, but I don't think God is going to come down and pick people out of the earth when the rapture is coming, and then one day all these people are just going to be gone because God came and decided that you were worthy to leave. No, if the planet goes down, we're all going fucking down together.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And Christians and non-Christians alike.
Yeah, we're all gonna go down. God's not gonna come and be like, you believed in me, I'm gonna pick you up and save you from this. No, we're all going to perish. Together
exactly.
At the same time.
And only, and yeah, I mean, I hope that somebody makes a space station and a spaceship and flies away at just the right time, but I think humanity might be kind of over if we let it go. Let it go too far.
Yes. I think, you know,
we're good now, but like barely.
Are we good? I feel like we're...
Well, I'm just saying we're not about to die right now.
Yeah.
But like if we continue the way we're going, it is a possibility, and I can't deny it.
I mean, that's something that like I thought about. Is like, I do want kids one day, and is it fair to put kids on this planet when you know what's happening? I've been battling that idea.
Yeah, it's a tough one, man. It's a tough one. First of all, you have to want kids at all. So like, and when the world's in a bad place, you tend to either put that thought process on the shelf and not think about it for a while, or you look at the world and you see that it's bad and you go, not right now. I'm looking at the world, I don't want to do it right now. And then you keep doing that for a while, and then the birth rate starts dropping, and you start going, well, I can see why it's dropping. You know, the more we talk about how Donald Trump and then Joe Biden were our president are leading our country, the less it seems like I really want to pop a kid out anytime soon.
Yeah, you know, it's just like there's so many there's so many things, like, because for me in my head, you know, if you decide to put a person on this planet, you are aware of what's going on in it and what they're going to
what do you owe them?
Yeah, and what they're going to be facing, things that you face that they will ultimately probably also face. And it's like, do I want to put another person on this planet to deal with the same shit I've dealt with?
Let me ask you this question. When you have kids, what is owed to them? Like, because I mean, most things aren't owed to your kid, but like, what would you say you, as a parent, you owe your child?
Proper communication. No
Okay,
hitting.
working on communication.
No hitting.
So no abuse in any way.
Yeah, I don't want to abuse them. I don't think you need to hit a child. I think if you teach them from a young age how to communicate, when they get older, they will know how to communicate, and there won't be a need to hit them. And there's other ways.
And I know it's
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
No, I agree.
Yeah, so I wouldn't hit my kid. I just think there's so many better ways, and I think something else that I would owe them is I don't know if there's anything else. I mean, other than like love, support, clothes, be fed, all that.
I think I would also owe them like a basic explanation for the way the world works. For religious people, it would be religion, but I think that's kind of a thing that you do owe your kid. You have to give them some sort of footing and then let them decide from there.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. I think
a lot of kids it's dinosaurs, and a lot of kids it's Bible stories.
Yeah, I think like I would.
How did we get to where we are?
Yeah. How? Yeah, I guess I never thought about that part of like explaining to them. I think I would like.
Because they're gonna ask.
Yeah, when they get older, and I feel like I would just come with that as we go.
Yeah, and of course because that's kind of what parenting is.
Yeah.
I guess it's my neighbors are new parents. They had their kid was born like 2 months after they moved in.
Oh wow.
And yeah, so it's been a wild ride for them, and they're doing the best they can, and they're saying that it's a struggle because we don't really know what we're doing. We're doing the best we can, and we feel like we're doing an okay job, but at the same time, it's stressful, man. I'm in charge of a little person.
Yeah,
I'm in charge of a new person.
What's really crazy is you don't actually know if what you did was right until they are an adult. And they are done growing, and then you learn if what you did was good enough or not.
Yeah, and I think the only way for you to know if what you did was good enough is if you actually talk with them.
Yeah, I mean,
and if you and the conversations you have, if all they are is fights, then you really kind of have to infer that it didn't go that well.
Yeah, and I think that's a big one though too. Is do your kids talk to you? Because being a child, you don't have to talk to your parents. Like that's a privilege that they get.
Sorry, my wife's home.
Yeah.
Actually, we're basically at the end here. We're at 2 hours. I feel like we did a great podcast. Hi, Piper.
Hi.
Thank you very much for being a part of this. How did the bowl thing go? It was a good idea?
Yeah.
Just a subject thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
I feel like we got all the way over and around.
Yeah, and that's the way I like to do it.
Okay, yeah, I was like, I mean, it worked. We started, but we flew all over the place with this conversation.
I like doing this. It's nice to have a moment to just talk human to human.
Yeah, I'm a very
about
talkative
something
person,
interesting.
and I go off of what happens.
Fantastic.
So,
I know it worked out really nicely. Thank you very much for being a part of this. And with that, I'll say goodbye.
Okay, goodbye.